All right, everyone, welcome back to the Land of Chem. I am your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is an absolute banger for episode 122, as today I will be examining an obscure and forgotten site that we recently rediscovered during a Sunday site visit expedition that contains the remains of a crystal temple and an industrial gold processing operation on the Giza Plateau. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the ancient technology of a lost civilization, utilizing chemistry and physics, and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube. Don't forget to click that little notification bell so that you do not miss the new episodes that premiere twice per week. Please like, comment, stay tuned. If you want to help support this channel and get access to exclusive research and unreleased footage that you will not see anywhere else, check out the members only channel and thelandofchem.com if you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, after you finish watching this video, please go subscribe to our two new channels here on YouTube, Egyptian Trash Cats, for all you cat lovers out there, and Egypt Eats for food reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's intro. So without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. And to begin, I will start by explaining a specimen found in a rarely mentioned display case at the Cairo Museum that you can see here, containing a variety of geological samples. Specifically, this sample here, a piece of gold and pyrite-bearing quartz. Now, this should definitely have your attention, not only for the gold, but also for the pyrite, as both of these are directly related to my hypothesis about the function of the Giza Plateau pyramid complex and the function of Newgrange and the passage chamber structures across Europe. Let's take a look. Materials that were being used. Green feldspar, all sorts of different types of quartz. Carnelian, we'll see a lot of beads made out of carnelian here. Lapis lazuli. All of this was being utilized. So here we see two things. So gold ore. This is actually deposits of iron pyrite, which is another very interesting material because iron pyrite is the material that I've proposed was being used to produce ferrous sulphate. Iron disulfide in the reaction chambers of Newgrange and West Kennet Long Barrow was also being extracted by the dynastic Egyptians. So here we have galena, which is a lead sulfide that also contains silver. So we have lead sulfides, which means it is a compound that contains sulfur. So they were mining sulfur, they were mining lead, and they were mining silver out of these galena deposits. So there was extensive mining of all of the materials that went into extracting the metals that we've been talking about. Gold and pyrite-bearing quartz. The structure that we found on the Giza Plateau, this crystal temple, looks like it may have been used for extracting gold and pyrite out of quartz deposits. Hematite, these iron oxide deposits that we found all over the Giza Plateau. All sorts of other fibrous gypsum, which you can see here is calcium sulphate. Again, these sulfur-bearing mineral deposits that contain all of these chemicals that we've been talking about so far. Calcium carbonate, your different types of limestone, monumental granite, all of these different types of stone have been found here in Egypt. We have black basalt over here, imperial porphyry, which we start seeing used during the Greek and Roman era. All of these were incredibly important, and I love that they took the time to put together a geological case here in the museum to display all of these different types of... All right, now that you've seen, once again, more secrets in plain sight at the Cairo Museum, take a look at this specimen here that shows gold in a chunk of white calcite crystal. So gold is not only found in veins of quartz, but it is also found in deposits of white calcite crystal. And it just so happens that this is exactly what we found on the Giza Plateau, the remains of an industrial settlement that appears to have been used for processing blocks of calcite crystal. But this time, not for construction purposes, but for the extraction of deposits of gold. And there are several examples found on this site that show evidence of acidic erosion, as you can see here, that may have been the result of the acidic solution extraction process used to remove the veins of gold running through these blocks of white calcite crystal. So now, here is some footage so you can see it for yourself. And here is another area of the Giza Plateau that you probably won't see anywhere else. Final pyramid, central pyramid, and Great Pyramid. From the southeastern corner. So we just walked through this excavated area here. To come down here. Look at all of this. Whole area here is filled with large blocks of white calcite crystal, and there are some pieces of this calcite material embedded in the floor of the Central Pyramid Eastern Temple. And this area is referred to as a calcite quarry. This is not a quarry. This is the remains of a structure that has since been quarried. So we'll start up here, and you can see the remains of blocks that are part of a structure that was here. Right there, structure here, and if I remember, I'll do a Google satellite image of this area. You can see here there's a big piece of red granite, more calcite walls. It's a big deposit of iron oxide there. This whole structure looks to have been made from calcite crystal. All of these fragments here are all pieces of white calcite crystal. So was there an entire structure made from these huge blocks of crystal out here? And this is directly southeast of the corner of the Pyramid of Menkaure. See this huge block of crystal? Some beautiful patterns. And to my knowledge, there's really only one other place. So here, ooh, look at these fragments here. This is gorgeous. Look at that three-dimensional cubic pattern. That is wild. I mean, the surface of this rock almost looks like a digital pixelated image. So in the eastern temple of the central pyramid, in the floor of the valley temple, and here are the only areas on the Giza Plateau with this calcite material. And these are some huge blocks, so whatever was over here was a fairly large structure. And Lex was just pointing out the this is the base of a pillar or a column. So what the hell was out here? Another mystery of the Giza Plateau. Just huge pieces of crystal. Not too bad.
All right, now that you've seen the site, let's take a look at the archaeological data about gold mining in Egypt, starting with this paper here. Gold in Egypt. Does the future get worse or better regarding both ancient and modern mining operations for the extraction of gold? And I will quote here. Within the eastern desert of Egypt, there are more than 100 vein-type gold deposits and occurrences. Gold was mined in the dynastic and Roman periods of the Egyptian history, with most of the attention focused on near-surface, high-grade parts of these veins, specifically regarding auriferous quartz veins and alluvial gold. In most of these targets, gold displays a bimodal distribution, occurring both as free milling gold and in the form of submicroscopic or quote-unquote invisible gold in refractory sulfides such as pyrite. Again here, quote, metallurgical studies carried out on some gold deposits, dumps, and tailings of ancient gold mines in Egypt proved that these ores were amenable to percolation leaching. Percolation leaching, you say? This should sound very familiar. And now I'm going to show you a few areas on the Giza Plateau adjacent to the Central Pyramid that display tremendous evidence for this in situ percolation leaching operation that was being performed in conjunction with the acidic solutions being produced inside the Great and Central Pyramids. And pay close attention to what I say regarding the metallic content in these ore deposits, the chemicals that were used, the evidence of injection holes, as you can see here with the tip of the central pyramid in the background, and the meticulous selection for the location of the construction of the pyramid chemical production plants on the Giza Plateau. And you will see why in just a moment.
All right, now we are here on the southern side of the central pyramid eastern temple. And you can see here this huge rut. And I recently showed this from where I climbed down inside of this area here on the other end, not only on the members only channel, but also in a short. And this entire rut was filled with a huge deposit of iron oxide. And I'll be presenting more. I still have a batch of 12 different sample locations from the Osireion project showing chemical analysis of the metal compounds that are also contained within these iron oxide deposits. So you can see here, this material here is all iron oxide. This big chunk over here. And those of you who are initiates of the members only channel will already be putting some pieces together here. And you can see here, this entire area here is all iron oxide. So this whole piece here, the remains of which are just here and here, was a huge vein of iron oxide. This is just what's left. And this entire pit, and we'll walk down to the other end so you can see the remains of the iron oxide that once filled this entire rut. And there are two of these ruts on each side of the central pyramid valley temple. There's more iron oxide in here. This is a huge vein running through here. Mafish Maya, shukran, anandi. This here, this material, I'll go on the other side so you can see it, but all of this material in here, this highly eroded, dissolved material that has been removed from this rut. This is all iron oxide, this whole pit. This is all red and black down in here. I've showed this area of the Giza Plateau before. All of this material here. Okay, let me give you some perspective. Eastern side of the central pyramid. This whole area is a huge deposit of iron oxide. And remember, when I say iron oxide, it's not just iron in there. There's all sorts of other valuable metals. That have been dissolved out of this leach mining pit. Here, the walls of this rut are covered with the remains of this material. All of this that you see here, look at all that red. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the metallic ore leach mining pits that are located on both sides of the Central Pyramid Eastern Temple. All of this is iron oxide. Huge deposit that once filled this rut. And we have chemical analysis of this material that supports my conclusion about the chemical reaction that was occurring inside of this area on the Giza Plateau. So the bulk of the material was most likely mined out of here using conventional methods. Look at that. And then the remainder was extracted using acidic leach mining. And look at this huge eroded hole. And there is a specific chemical compound, which you can see the traces of here, that supports my conclusion about this acidic erosion. You can see these holes. Back in through here, which lead back up toward the surface. And the hole that I just showed you from here is looking up in this direction, and they covered it up here. This big stack of rocks here covers up a hole and where does this iron oxide deposit, metallic ore deposit, lead us? Over here. And what component do we see here? A channel. That was directing the aqueous solution of hydrochloric acid down through this channel out here toward this iron oxide deposit. And look here again, there's a flowing all through here. This is all eroded. Look at this salt material here. A very specific type of salt. As would occur per the reaction between hydrochloric acid and iron oxide. All of this flowing down into the leach mining pit. And there's two of these on both sides. So now we'll take a walk around to the other side so I can show you the other pit. Here on the eastern side of the central pyramid. Hydrochloric acid manufacturing chemical reactor. Adjacent to our sulfuric acid. Ahlan Sadiki. Adjacent to our sulfuric acid manufacturing structure. Yalavina.
Put your hand on top. Where are you from?
أنا من ناصر صديقي.
مرحبا يا صديقي. أبا بودي يا صديقي.
شكرا وأنت؟
اعمل صورة جنبه بدون أي شيء والله.
All right, so now we're here on the northern side of the Central Pyramid Eastern Temple. And at this point, let me explain something about the location of the Giza pyramids. That this site was selected strategically for metallic ore mining operations and in situ leach mining applications. Hey buddy, smile for the camera. And there are two metallic ore pits located on both sides of this eastern temple. And these structures were built on foundations of solid bedrock in such a way that the mining operations would not interfere with the stability and longevity of the structures. This was a strategic mining operation. The design and implementation of which is absolutely astounding. The scope of this operation. So here is another mining pit. انت عامل ايه صديقي؟ كله كويس؟
كله كويس.
Good, good.
انت كويس؟ انا كله انا.
And this rut as well was also filled. You can see this black material here, which is also iron, but most likely a magnetite. So this entire rut as well was filled. Sadiki, دلوقتي أنا بشتغل. No, it's okay. I just told him in Arabic that I'm working. All of this material here is all مفيش dollar American. مفيش cash. Asif. All of this material here is all iron oxide. Here, look at this. Huge deposit here. So this entire rut was filled with a vein of iron oxide that has now been mined out of this area And as I showed before, there's salt. Remnants of a very specific type of salt, the chemical analysis of which provides the greatest evidence and support for my theories thus far. And you can see here more remains of this red iron oxide and the salt crust that is left over. And I can guarantee you that nobody else in this field is talking about this information or showing you these areas of the Giza Plateau, because they don't understand the scope of this operation and what these structures were really intended for. So just imagine. And if you could only see in my head the operation of this structure. So just imagine this, the Great Pyramid, the telluric currents flowing underneath the structure, polarizing this dielectric limestone material, accumulating charges on the top and attracting a lightning bolt, which distributed electric fields throughout the limestone and into the red granite core of the structure, activating the inverse piezoelectric properties within the red granite, producing ultrasound, which catalyzed a reaction between sulfur dioxide and oxygen to produce sulfur trioxide that was then dissolved into an aqueous solution and distributed across the Giza Plateau for these acidic leach mining operations. And the whole intention of these on-site visits is so you can see it for yourself. And I presented on the members only channel the day that I made this discovery and I found these pits. Of course, they were known about before and they're conventionally described as boat pits. This isn't a boat pit. They're mining ruts filled with extremely valuable metallic ore deposits. Not only semi-precious, but also precious metals like gold and silver. So sulfuric acid here. And hydrochloric acid here. Stay tuned for more.
And just a quick announcement, new Land of Chem merch is now available. I just dropped the Nano Gold 5th degree logo on a black t-shirt and hoodie. And I'm very excited to present the new spectacular white horse logo on a black hoodie and the premium high definition extra large white horse logo on this exceptional quality black t-shirt. And once again, thank you so much to friend and supporter of the channel, Adam Arrington from New Zealand, for collaborating with me on this new logo design. He has done some amazing work in helping me bring my ideas for the Land of Chem logos to life. And if you want to check out more of his work, I'll put a link to his Instagram in the video description below. The Egyptian blue version of the Land of Chem book and the last 30 or so of the signed first edition purple orchid paper print are still available. So if you want to show some love, just check out thelandofchem.com. And thank you all so much for the support. All right, now that you've heard me say it in an on-site clip showing direct evidence of my hypothesis, let me reiterate those exact points with factual data from a mining company describing the processes that can be used, specifically percolation leaching, in situ leaching, and acidic leaching. And I will quote here. First, the percolation leaching process is a kind of leaching method in which the leaching agent penetrates the fixed ore bed in a top-down or horizontal manner by means of gravity or pressure. Next, the in situ leaching process means to drill a hole in the ground area of a good stope, then inject the leaching agent into the ore body through the injection hole, which is exactly what I just showed. And the leaching solution is pumped to the ground through the recovery hole for treatment. Using the in-situ leaching process can reduce the expensive investment cost in good construction, mining, transportation, grinding, and other processes. At the same time, it can also reduce the environmental pollution. However, the ore body must have good permeability, and there are corresponding impermeable layers and stable bedrock around the ore body. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what I just said in that on-site clip regarding the stable bedrock upon which the Egyptian pyramids were constructed. The meticulous selection for the location of these chemical processing plants. Furthermore here, regarding the acidic leaching process, it is common to remove pigmented impurities, such as iron oxide, from non-metallic minerals before they're used for special industrial purposes. The acid leaching process is an effective method to remove the thin film iron from non-metallic minerals. The common leaching agents used in the acid leaching process are dilute sulfuric acid, concentrated sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, and aqua regia, which can be used for gold, silver, copper, phosphorus, molybdenite, and so on, all of which have been found in the chemical analysis of the iron ore deposits on the Giza Plateau. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly, almost verbatim, what I just said in the on-site clip while presenting irrefutable evidence on the Giza Plateau that directly supports this hypothesis. Now, let's return to the paper discussing ancient gold mining from quartz deposits. And I will resume quoting here. The eastern desert of Egypt is well known as a gold mining area since ancient times. There are more than 100 vein-type gold deposits and occurrences spread over the whole area covered by basement rocks of the Precambrian age. Nabu is the Egyptian symbol for gold. It depicts a golden collar with the ends hanging off the sides and 7 spines dangling from the middle. It was highly prized commodity by the ancient Egyptians, as it was believed to be the flesh of the sun god Ra, and was thus considered a symbol of eternal life. It was this association with Ra and eternal life that compelled pharaohs and queens to exploit the gold in their kingdom and to accumulate it and be buried with vast stores of this metal. The chamber that held the king's sarcophagus was known as the House of Gold, and I'll be returning to this at the end of the video. Historical mining was focused entirely on the near-surface, high-grade quartz veins and associated alluvial gold. And this alluvial gold is exactly what we've discovered in these iron oxide deposits on the Giza Plateau. Evidence of the historical mining activity is clearly seen in these stopped-out quartz veins at shallow depths by means of shafts and adits. Shafts, exactly like the underground mining tunnels found in the Tomb of the Birds. Waste dumps and tailings are present at a number of these deposits, indicating that they were sites of significant mining activity. Although it was mined since the dynastic times, no data are available as to the total tonnage of ore mined out or the gold that was extracted from it. But according to Clem et al., the total tonnage of the entire ancient mined trenches and underground operations is 400,000 to 600,000 tons of quartz ore. And assuming a recovery of 10 grams per ton, a maximum of 6,000 kilograms of gold would have been produced. The production of alluvial gold was assumed to be of the same order or maximally double. This results in a maximum total gold production of 18 tons. Now, I think that this is a drastic underestimate of how much gold they were extracting, and it only refers to the conventional dynastic period. But here you can definitely get a sense of how immense of an operation these ancient mining activities really were. 400,000 to 600,000 tons of quartz ore. And within this crystal temple and industrial settlement on the Giza Plateau, there is evidence of processing activities that would have been used for gold extraction. So here, we have a map of the Giza Plateau with the crystal temple and industrial settlement being located right here on the southwest of the Pyramid of Menkaura. And this obscure and forgotten area of the Giza Plateau gets only a brief mention in the darkest recesses of the archaeological record, referenced here in this article, the 1988 and 89 excavation of Petrie's quote-unquote workmen's barracks at Giza. And I'll quote here, in the early 1970s, Abd al-Aziz Salah excavated a small industrial settlement south of the Khafre Pyramid and within the outer Peribolis enclosure of the Menkaura Pyramid. This settlement consisted of a broad open court and small house-like structures built against a thick precinct wall. Many large pieces of alabaster lay about the court, and there was evidence of copper work and other industry. And after this brief statement, the area is completely discarded without further investigation. And on this map, you can see the quarry area adjacent to the Menkaura, otherwise known as the final pyramid on the Giza Plateau, in the outer Peribolis enclosure mentioned in the article here, that surrounds this so-called industrial settlement. And the only other scholastic publication I found that mentions this area is this one here. Electromagnetic Survey for the Giza Plateau Mapping Project in 2003, a retrospective after 20 years, with literally just one sentence. Figure 3A shows the ruins of what is referred to as an industrial settlement excavated by Saleh about 50 years ago, but they do show it on this exceptionally detailed map presenting the results of this electromagnetic survey. And you can see down here the quote-unquote ruins of industrial settlement. And a close-up here, so you can see the location of this industrial settlement in relation to the final pyramid on the Giza Plateau, the Pyramid of Menkaura, and the Pyramid of Khentkawes, which you can see here, that also has an industrial town adjacent to the main structure, which will be a topic for an upcoming episode. But that's not all they have in this paper. Here on the left are some images and a diagram from the original excavation that may reveal the true purpose of this industrial settlement, which is clearly connected to these blocks of calcite crystal that I've shown can contain deposits of gold. And a close-up of this here, showing the quarrying activities and the removal of blocks, very similar to the quarry on the northwestern side of the central pyramid that I showed in Sunday Site Visit 49. But it also shows this, right here, a bank of 12 massive circular ovens, which a feeble and questionable attempt is made to describe them as a public kitchen. And even according to these authors, as you can see here with this question mark, they are doubtful of this quote-unquote public kitchen interpretation. So now, let me provide you with mine. These 12 circular ovens are not for a kitchen. They are ancient quartz calcination kilns. As you can see a close-up here, these 12 circular kilns were used to roast the quartz and calcite crystal to soften the stone prior to the crushing and acidic leaching process for the extraction of gold. And to the uninitiated, they certainly may have appeared to be circular ovens. As you can see here, in this depiction showing a quartz kiln very much resembling a circular oven. And here you can see the inside of one of these quartz kilns found in Australia. And this is exactly what they discovered on the Giza Plateau in this bank of 12 circular ovens. They are quartz and calcite roasting kilns used for gold extraction. Now here's where things get even more interesting. As mentioned in the article on ancient gold mining at the beginning of the episode, they stated that the chamber that held the king's sarcophagus was known as the quote-unquote house of gold. And there is critical esoteric information encoded in this verbiage that is directly related to the function of the pyramids as chemical manufacturing facilities whose product on the Giza Plateau was being used for gold mining, literally the houses of gold. And here you can see the hieroglyph, Nebu, the Egyptian symbol for gold. And let me show you how this symbol is encoded into the verbiage used to describe what we know today as a pharaoh. In this phrase here, Netjeri Ket Nebu. And you can see the glyph over here, the symbol for gold. And this phrase literally translates to King of Upper and Lower Egypt, Goddess of Upper and Lower Egypt, the Lord of Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, everything about this ancient civilization and these quote-unquote pharaohs was about metallic mining operations and gold. So who are these pharaohs? The lords of gold. And what deep esoteric secrets still remain hidden in the entire language of misinterpreted hieroglyphs from this ancient civilization. More on this coming up soon, so please subscribe and stay tuned. All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was episode 122, the Crystal Temple and the industrial gold processing operation on the Giza Plateau. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and in this week's Sunday site visit, new footage containing a re-examination and new interpretation for the function of the white calcite conduit system in the Eastern Temple adjacent to the Pyramid of Wadis in Saqqara. This is an episode you do not want to miss, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube if you're interested in the ancient technology of a lost civilization utilizing chemistry and physics and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from across the world. If you want to help support this channel and get access to exclusive research and unreleased footage, check out the members-only channel and thelandofchem.com if you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, after you finish watching this video, please go subscribe to our two new channels here on YouTube, Egyptian Trash Cats for all you cat lovers out there, and Egypt Eats for food reviews. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that's it for today's episode. So I will see you next time.
Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.